Hi there. Welcome to this second session in our series of info session for the Mass E program, the Master of Advanced Study in Engineering, Mass E. And this info session is going to concentrate on the application process. Okay, so here is our student services team. Unfortunately, they are not able to be here today, but I am Janine Bernard. I'm the Associate Director of Student Services here at Fung, who manages the Mass E. And we have Mars Rivas, our Senior Admissions Officer, as well as Maritzi Perez, who's our Student Affairs and Academic Advisor. They are both in other meetings, so could not join, but they are part of our trustee team. So important dates. So the application that we will be reviewing shortly is fall 2026. It is open now. And there is two deadlines. There's a priority deadline of May 13th and a final deadline of June 7th. Instruction begins in August 2026. I believe it's August 26th. And then you can apply through grad.berkeley.edu/admissions/apply. Again, admit term 2026, and the program is Master of Advanced Study in Engineering. And the priority deadline has a couple of benefits. So we will talk about a fee waiver shortly, but we will be offering fee waivers to the first 30 people who submit their application, but don't pay. I believe you can submit, and then later the system will prompt you to make a payment. But if you submit without payment and then you submit an application waiver, the first 30 of those will be granted a waiver, and we'll get into it shortly. And the second benefit for the priority deadline is then your application would be reviewed earlier, and you would receive a notice of whether you were admitted earlier. And then the final deadline is June 7th, 2026. Welcome, Patrick. Good to see you. This is being recorded, so I will be sharing this after. We will post this on our YouTube once it becomes available and once we have captions added. I do have a hard stop at 12:35, so any questions can be emailed to mass-e-support@berkeley.edu. But we've been in contact, so welcome. And so let's talk about admissions requirements. So you will select the application requirements for admission. So you will select a department and concentration, and then you'll include your academic history. Oops. You'll submit your unofficial transcripts, including with your GPA. There are two essays, the statement of purpose and personal history statement. And we also require 2 letters of recommendation and then your resume or CV. And that is the perfect place to where we can see kind of your progression, your CV. And then again, our final deadline is June 7th, 2026. That's the year we're in. And how do you apply? So go ahead and go to gradapp.berkeley.edu/apply. Double check the admit term and program. So select the 2026-2027 graduate application, select the fall 26 term, and then select Mass E. Please note, you can only apply to one program per cycle. So then that means that, spring 27 is part of that cycle, as is summer 27, I believe. No, summer 26 is part of the 2026-2027 cycle, sorry. So you wouldn't be eligible to apply for another program until the summer of 2027 or fall 2027. And then what does an asterisk mean in your application? It means it is required for you to complete. So here you can see kind of what I was saying, admit term fall 2026, Master of Advanced Study in Engineering, that's the program. The application again is May 13th as priority and June 7th as final. And here's some more. You can take a look at this is what the concentration interest page looks like. So you'll select a primary and a secondary study. And then if you will be sponsored by any organizations to attend this program. So, if you're a veteran and have access to GI Bill benefits, or if you have full or partial employer support sponsorship or government sponsorship, or if you are self-funded. Within your academic history, make sure to include all the schools where you've received college credit. This includes universities at which you've studied abroad or community colleges. And we'll just need unofficial transcripts for review purposes for now. And these must include your name, the name of the university, the course titles that you took, and then dates, for fall 2024 or something like that when you took the courses, and then the grades. Oop, go back. And then if your degree has been conferred, we do need that transcript to show degree conferred. Look at your transcript. Are other schools listed on your transcript as having received units from? If so, then you will need to list those schools and then submit the unofficial transcript as well. In terms of international transcripts, upload a scanned copy. And again, it should show, and your degree certificate, if you've completed the degree, any translations for each institution after high school. So if you graduated and your transcript does not show when your degree was confirmed, you will not be offered admission. So if we want to recommend you for admission, your admission will not be processed unless it shows your degree, unless they have a copy of your degree conferred transcript, as well as your degree certificate if applicable. Please make sure to include a grading scale, which is usually on the back of your official transcript, so that it makes it easier for us to understand the grading at the institution. If your academic records are in a language other than Spanish or English, then you will need to submit translations prepared by a certified translator from your university or by American Translators Association or the Ministry of Education. Degree names and grades should be transcribed but not converted into the English words or the US grades of A through F. So it should just be translated verbatim. Upload the original language and English translations if applicable. So while we do not require official transcripts at the time of application, if you are admitted and accept our offer of admission, we will need official transcripts then. And this will show up on your CalCentral, which is the student portal profile where you see your classes, your financial aid, etc. Here's what the GPA page of the application looks like. So I would ask any international applicants to also enter a GPA calculation, again, and with any work that you did to get to that, and make it as clear as possible. It'll make it easier for us to review. We will still do the review, of course, but it will just take longer. So make it easy for us. But we will review in any case. Test scores. So the big one for this program is the TOEFL IELTS. So this is evidence of English language proficiency, and it is required of all applicants with basic degrees from countries in which English is not the official language. For TOEFL, please be sure to submit the scores using this code 4833. And then for IELTS, if you decide to take the IELTS, no school code is required, but an overall band score must be 7 on a 9-point scale. And then for purposes of admission, your most recent score, and this is TOEFL, must be at least 90 for the IBT internet-based test. I know that things changed recently with TOEFL. If you have any questions that come up, feel free to email mass-e-support@berkeley.edu. And then I get a lot of questions from applicants saying, am I exempt? So the only thing that falls under exemption is if you have a basic degree from a recognized institution in a country where the official language is English. So, obviously the UK would be a very obvious answer. It's overseas, but it's in English. The official language is English. The education language is English. And another exemption is if you have completed a basic or advanced degree at an institution in the United States or abroad where the language is of language is instruction. So for example, if you did your bachelor's in Japan, but you came here and did a master's in, I don't know, master's in Masters of Science and Master of Arts in History or something like that, then and you got a 3.0 or above, then you would be exempt as well. Or if you have completed work for at least 1 year at a full-time academic coursework with a grade of B or better at a regionally accredited institution within the United States. So again, that master's program or something like that. Test scores, so to make sure to double check name, date of birth, email. So use the same exact email address, your name. So if you have two last names, make sure you either include one or both, but the same on your application and any scores you submit. So date of birth must be exact. And in the US, we do month, then date. I know some other place, a lot of the world does the day and then the month. So just make sure it's the same cadence or the same structure for anything, your name, your email. Make sure, it's the same Gmail address. Otherwise, the test scores won't automatically match and we will need to do it manually. And then if you still have a question about am I exempt, you can go ahead, email gradadm@berkeley.edu to check your eligibility to waive the TOEFL scores. You can also email us. And then in terms of the essays, please note the essays guidelines differ slightly from the UC guidelines, but overall, this is what we're looking for. So the personal history statement, it should not duplicate the statement of purpose. So personal history statement, I always think of it like you're kind of the context. This is this is where my passion for engineering developed, or I've worked in the industry for X amount of years, and now with the advent of AI, I feel like I need to go back to work, go back to school in order to progress in work or something like that. Depends on your situation. So it shouldn't duplicate the statement of purpose, and we'll go into what each of them mean. Your statement of purpose, both essays should be about 1,000 words, and it should describe, so statement of purpose is more kind of like an outline of that is directly relevant to what you want to do in the industry, and engineering based. So it should describe your career goals, and how this program will meet those professional aspirations. If you're entering the field, tell us about what interests you in engineering and the skills you want to acquire during the program. And then describe how you hope or expect to contribute to improving engineering in your future professional endeavors. Then the personal history statement should describe who you are, your family, the experiences that make you a unique individual, and your connection and motivation for working in engineering. And then this leaves the committee with more of insight into who you are as a person outside of being an applicant to this program. So statement of purpose, articulate your interests, your background experiences, your passion in engineering, and then how that relates to your future goals. Make sure to highlight your skills, but also, gaps in the knowledge. That's why you're going back to school or going to school. what do you hope to learn in the program? And then how will this affect your ability to accomplish those career aspirations? And then, you make the argument for why now, why at this juncture, right? Why this program, why Mass E, and why the specific area of focus that you're choosing, the concentration. And then don't just repeat your resume, right? Just kind of make parts of your resume come alive with your passion behind them and your goals. Again, maximum word count 1,000. Then in terms of the personal history statement, so include any information on the following: any barriers you've overcome, how you've overcome them, barriers to higher education, and if, explain any gaps or inconsistency in grades or test scores. Maybe in your undergraduate, you got sick or somebody got sick and you had to help them, or you had to take on another job to pay for, bills and tuition. Let us know what was happening in the moment so we understand kind of your trajectory. And then, or, if you don't have any barriers, how you've come to understand barriers faced by others. Any academic service that you've been a part of that advanced equitable access to higher education for women or racial minorities or individuals from other groups that have been historically underrepresented in higher education. Any research that you've focused on, that you've been engaged with focusing on these underserved populations, leadership among such groups. And allow yourself to reflect and express key experiences that have prepared you or motivated you to pursue graduate school in the field of engineering. Highlight your passion, your maturity, your focus, your strong motivation. Again, maximum word count 1,000. And again, personal history shouldn't duplicate statement of purpose. There's overlap, of course, but again, personal history is more of a context, personal, who you are, and then statement of purpose is this is what I've done, this is what I need to do, and this is how the program's going to help me get there. Tips for both essays: be conscious that the review team is reading many essays, so be concise and careful with your language in order to make it focused and readable. Remember to tell stories that are unique to you, and then add specific details and talk about what you're passionate about. And it'll make your essay stand out. And it'll, if you writing about what you are passionate about, somehow, it's easier to write, right? Because it should just flow out of you. And make sure to proofread. It's important to demonstrate strong and clear writing skills. With that being said, please don't use or overuse AI. We have seen it and it's pretty obvious. So I would say, using AI to help, craft, maybe outline an essay is fine, or to check for any spelling errors or just kind of consistency, but this essay should be written by you. These essays should be written by you, and it is very noticeable when somebody uses AI to create that content. I think it should be used only to further solidify the strength of your essays, but the content should be yours. And that's easy to see. We also require 2 letters of recommendation. Make sure, first things first, that you have their correct email information inputted, that there's no typo. If your recommender is having trouble, try having them switch the browser or check that they're uploading a PDF file. Or I've seen them trying to upload a PDF file that has a password on it. So make sure that there's no encryption or anything like that. And in terms of the letters, at least one should focus on your academic potential. If you have that, if you've been in the industry for a long time and don't have professors recently, it could be 2 people that you've worked with, maybe a supervisor, maybe a colleague or a team lead or something like that. Your recommender will get an email notice when you click send send to recommender button, even if you haven't submitted your application. So it will email the link to a page where they answer a few short questions and then upload the PDF. Oh my gosh, I keep moving these. Again, you can submit your application even before all your letters are submitted, and your letters can be submitted before you submit your application. Letters of recommendation are due the same day for your application deadline. So if there's any delay, that will mean your application is not reviewed until all the materials are in. We recommend waiving your right to review recommendation as a best practice, because otherwise I think it delays the system in going through some additional steps for not waiving your right. And I would have to check with graduate division on how to manage that process. Some more tips, ask somebody that you believe really knows you well and can speak highly of you, that has either academically or professionally evaluated you, and that has experience writing letters for other students or aided with others' entries into a professional graduate school. And you can give them kind of an outline as well, say, maybe focus on, you can't tell them what to write, but maybe have them focus on a project that you all worked together that had a good outcome and you want to highlight as a testament to your leadership and prowess. Another tip, provide deadlines. So make sure you get a clear answer and then follow up with reminders and thank you emails. Share materials that you want them to kind of reference, like resume, CV, essays, your unofficial transcripts, and then ask your recommender to use letterhead and their professional email. Ask your recommenders if they have time to write a recommendation for you and if they're able to write a strong one. So that's, I guess, first step. And then again, give them a copy of your resume and your statement of purpose if you want. And so that way they know kind of how to structure their letter. There is a scholarship application that is sent out to everybody who applies and is recommended for admission. So that is sent after decisions are made, and this is partial. So recipients are awarded partial scholarships based on criteria, including academic merit, financial need, overcoming personal, academic, or professional barriers, and experience with diversity. And so make sure to communicate these in the economic background section, personal history statement, and personal information. The more materials we have from you, the more informed our decisions will be made. Yes. And then in terms of the application fee, so once you get everything ready and you're ready to submit, this is where we are offering a waiver as well. So we are offering a waiver for the first 30 Mass E applicants who submit the application. So this would be moot in that case if you submit, and then I'll share a link in a little bit for the Google form that we're asking admits or applicants to complete as well to be eligible for this waiver. So this the application fee process is, make the payment by deadline, credit cards and debit is accepted. If you qualify for a fee waiver, please make sure to follow up. So there are ways that the applicants are eligible for a fee waiver. You have to apply down here or read more down here in the admissions and application process fee waiver link. And then once you complete the biographical application, personal background sections of the application, it will but you can go ahead and leave that blank. The application that we are requesting you to complete to be eligible for, let's see, where's my chat? Right here, is this one. So you would need to submit the application, make sure it's all complete. Go ahead and ignore payment page and then submit this form. And then a few days before that priority deadline, I will work with the graduate division to make sure that they waive those applications and that we get them paid. And then this is on additional to this application fee waiver document for outside of that process. And then what happens after you submit? You can still check the status of the materials received or processed within your application portal. So you should be able to see fee waivers being processed, any test scores coming in, as well as letters of recommendation. The admissions committee will review the applications and recommend the top applicants out of the completed applications. We do not allow any application edits or additional materials submitted after the submission. The Office of Graduate Division does a final review of each application and then they provide final approval. So on the department side, we can only recommend you for admission. And then Graduate Division does the final audit to make sure everything's, everything that's required is submitted. They will follow up if anything is missing, like, oh, you submitted a degree conferral, a transcript without a degree conferral, or we need a degree certificate or degree diploma, and I will be in touch with that. But as long as you submit by the deadline and you apply for that fee waiver by the deadline as well, you should be eligible for those waivers. And oh yeah, but then we'll also be in touch with you if there's any material missing. So here's your application checklist. Statement of purpose, 1,000 words max. Personal history statement, 1,000 words max. Make sure to submit your most current resume or CV. Your 2 letters of recommendation are required. At least one from a former professor if you can swing it. Or if you can't, someone who can speak to your academic potential or leadership potential. Transcripts, they may be unofficial for all college level coursework. But we will, if you are admitted and accept admission, then we will need your official transcript, degree certification, and translated copies if necessary. Test scores, send TOEFL scores to 4833, but not IELTS. And then application fee documentation for fee waiver or signing up for that departmental fee waiver if applicable. And finally, here's how you can contact us. So we do have about 5 minutes, 6 minutes for any questions. So if you have any questions, I will take 1 or 2 before I have to close. If you can't think of any questions, you can email mass-e-support@berkeley.edu. And then if needed, we can set up a one-on-one meeting as well.